So you can see in the second paragraph there, in trying to solve this problem with non-traditional approaches, patients run the risk of putting themselves at greater risk than the infection itself. So what she's basically saying, what this other doctor said, is that by taking vitamins and minerals, you're putting your body at greater harm than if you actually had an infection. Now, how preposterous is that, and how irresponsible is that? Not only for that doctor to say it, who wasn't really qualified to say it, but for the New York Post and Business Insider to actually report that as truth without doing their investigative homework. Not only their investigative homework on the nutritional background of what that doctor understood, but their homework on me and what I actually said. So now let's go down again. So skip that one because that's the New York Times. So let's fast forward, because here's what happened last week. YouTube sent me a message where they actually pulled the video. And the reason why they pulled the video is they actually made the claim that the video violated community policy. Now, what was that community policy that I violated? That I was recommending a behavior that increased the likelihood that you might be hurt or killed. So they called my video on using vitamins for coronavirus a threat on the public's life, and they censored it. Now, let's go to the next slide, because I want to show you a couple of things on this bias. So this slide, you can see here, this is actually published from the medical journal, British Medical Journal. It was published a couple of years ago, stating that medical treatments were the third leading cause of death in the United States. Now, who is one of YouTube's biggest sponsors? Who drives a lot of the revenue for YouTube in terms of advertising dollars? Well, none other than the big pharmaceutical companies. Now, according to this research done by experts that published in British Medical Journal, medicine is the third leading cause of death. So if YouTube doesn't promote behaviors that could increase the risk for yourself being hurt, then how can they actually promote big pharma while they're calling vitamins and minerals near lethal and banning us or censoring us? Now, they did give me the opportunity. In fairness, YouTube gave me the opportunity to respond. So if you show that next slide for me, they gave me this opportunity. They said, you can respond. And what they did is they gave me a little tiny box, and it was limited to, I don't know exactly, it was like 150 characters. So I couldn't respond in full. I could just simply say, please reinstitute my video. It actually doesn't increase the risk of death for anyone, but they wouldn't allow me to actually give the scientific evidence behind the proof as to what they were actually censoring. So that's what I want to show you next. So we're going to put up this next slide. So here's my response. This is my response to New York Post, Business Insider, as well as to YouTube. So one of the things they made claims about was several claims on the dangers of vitamin D and vitamin A. And as a matter of fact, the title of the article containing the word near lethal was very, in my opinion, very concerning. So it's misleading, as the safety profile of these vitamins is very well established, even at higher doses. High doses of vitamin D, aka STOS therapy, have been used as a treatment since the early 1900s. You can use these research studies as proof of its safety, even at high doses. And I linked to 2 peer-reviewed medical studies on using high-dose vitamin D, and not just high-dose vitamin D, but high-dose vitamin D for influenza. So for the use of overcoming the viral influenza more effectively. So I gave them that research. Then we go to the next slide, and this is further part of my response. Natural vitamin A reported deaths in the medical literature are virtually non-existent. So again, they're using, this is their word, near lethal, saying that I'm increasing the likelihood that somebody might die. There's been 1 vitamin A death in over 40 years, and it was not caused by supplementation. It was caused by a young child getting into a large storage of liver pate and over-consuming liver. So the child got the equivalent of about 1 million units of vitamin A in 1 dose, and it was fatal. But none of what I recommended even approached anywhere near 1 million international units of vitamin A. So unless you actually bought 8 or 9 different bottles of vitamin A and took them all simultaneously, the likelihood that you would experience any kind of fatality would be pretty much a moot point. So anyway, my response. So vitamin A toxicity deaths are almost non-existent in medical literature. There's only 1 known report. However, if we look at the drug Accutane, Accutane is a synthetic version of vitamin A that doctors prescribe on a regular basis to treat acne, caused 14 deaths in a period of 6 months. And what I'm posting there is from October of 2019. It's actually a news report on an acne drug linked to at least 14 deaths. So from January 1 to October, about a period of about 10 months, Accutane killed 14 people. Now, again, going back to YouTube's reason for banning my video and for censorship, creating censorship over my video, was that my advice would offer some degree of harm that it potentially could cause death to an individual. Yet, I've seen acne and Accutane commercials on YouTube being plastered in between ads when watching videos personally. So, again, if Accutane was responsible for 14 deaths over a 10-month period of time, why is Accutane not being banned, or why is their ad not being censored the way my video was censored? You can see, again, it's media bias censorship. It's not, their policy is pick and choose. Their policy is not across the board. Their policy is pick and choose. Now, going on with my response, so I actually linked to the news article and to the video, to the media, where they were reporting on 14 deaths caused by Accutane. I go on to say that where they actually quoted in their article that vitamin A, that one of the potential side effects could be death, was actually the National Institute of Health website. So I went back to the National Institute of Health to actually find where they sourced that vitamin A could actually cause death. And guess what? NIH did not have, they did not cite a medical source for that claim. There was no medical source for that claim. So the claim cannot be corroborated. The claim is unbiased because, again, in the last 40 years, we have one case of vitamin A toxicity, and it was from a severely high dose. It wasn't from supplemental use. So there's not one claim that anyone can make where somebody with taking vitamin A supplements actually experienced a fatal incident or experienced death. So move to that next slide for me. So I finish up and I round out my response by saying vitamins A, D, and C have all been researched as safe and effective for viral infections. As this article will not allow me to dive into the plethora of research supporting this fact, I've attached a few links, including Harvard studies, below for you to read. One of the studies also shows how using high-dose vitamins A and D can increase the effectiveness of the flu vaccine. So I put those research links in there. Still have not heard a response. My video is still being censored. I wanted to share that with you. Why did I want to share that with you? Because, number one, not only is it unfair to call something near lethal, it's an outright lie, right? And if the media is going to lie to you in a concerted effort, because this happened in Business Journal, then it went to New York Post, then it affected, YouTube. So this is already 3 media channels where this lie has been allowed to be propagated without response, which again is why I'm responding tonight, because I've not had a fair opportunity to respond to these claims of near lethality. So I would say, with this being a lie, we have a lot of media bias and censorship. We already know we have it in politics, among other things. So how then do you prevent having censorship put up against you? And one of the ways that I'm going to encourage you tonight, because there's a lot of channels, there's a lot of ways that you can access my information, but the one way that I can absolutely guarantee that you'll be able to access my information without being censored is when you come and visit me at Gluten Free Society. So Mel, if you could put that next slide up there. I'm just going to show you a screenshot. So that's, again, if you aren't already tuned into this, it's glutenfreesociety.org. And you'll see about a little bit down the page, you're going to see sign up for the world's #1 gluten-free newsletter. If you put your name and email into that box, what's going to happen is I'll be able to communicate directly with you. And so when other people are trying to censor the information that we put out through channels like Facebook or like YouTube or like other social media, because we've been censored already on Facebook as well, then you'll be able to hear from me directly. So if we have a new video up and it does get censored, we'll be able to take that same video and upload it to Gluten Free Society so that you can still have access to the information without the censorship. As a matter of fact, tonight, when we're done with the show, I'm going to put a link where you can still access that video on how to protect yourself from viral outbreaks. I'm going to put that up on our website where it cannot be censored, and that way you can still get access to that information. If you haven't watched it yet, I highly encourage you to go back and watch it, because the information in that video is not near lethal, but it might prevent you from having a near lethal event as it relates to viral infection. So again, I'm going to encourage you to go to glutenfreesociety.org if you don't already receive emails from me, and make sure that you sign up so that you're not being censored when it comes to this life-saving vital information. You remember what our mission here is at glutenfreesociety.org. It's to save 100 million lives. And so saving 100 million lives doesn't start by creating near lethal advice so that people take vitamins to kill themselves. I mean, it's ridiculous and preposterous. Really, I'm quite upset about it. And I hope that by sharing this information with you, not only will you make sure that you're getting my information by signing up for our newsletter, but I also hope that you'll reach out to the New York Post and to that reporter who wrote that article. I hope you reach out to Business Insider and declare how angry you are about the misinterpretation. Not only the lies that were said about me in my video, things that were said that I never said, but also the misrepresentation that somehow vitamins could actually kill you, when in fact the more dangerous thing that we should all be worried about right now is the spread of a virus that has been killing people. Hey, don't forget to check out the rest of the series right here. Make sure you hit subscribe below. And as always, thanks for tuning in.